So here's part two. I had to step outside. Got people inside working on their scripts, so I don't want to interrupt them while I'm doing this. And I don't have no notes or nothing on me either. So I'm really saying this from the soul based on my experience. So I'm just going to continue to run it, continue to go. So spirituality come into effect. I get introduced to spirituality real early, like probably before the knowledge of self stuff. You know what I mean? Because my grandma used to always be in the church. So whenever I used to see my grandma, I used to get that aura of, spiritual stuff. And we're talking the Bible's being around and candles and all that type of stuff. So I got that energy a lot. And being in church with it, you know how you be young, you be in the church, you really don't understand what the preacher's saying. You're growing up in the church. I was growing up in that church. So I started getting to a certain age where I started seeing things like different. I seen like a lot of black people looking at Jesus as the savior, of course, but they were looking at Jesus to save their problems. Because they used to always come, they used to be like, oh, come up to tell Jesus to help you and tell Jesus to heal you and all these different ritual type of practices and everything. And a lot of times in church too, I used to fall asleep. I used to get my ass whooped a few times because my grandma used to be like saying that's disrespectful and everything like that for you to fall asleep and everything while this man is preaching the word to you that's going to help change your life and everything. So I understood what she's saying, but my soul or whatever it was, dog, made me fall asleep, dude. I don't think I resonated with the words. I was more into the energy, like when the songs come on, because all the songs, the choir shit come in the beginning, you get the goosebumps and everything. People be, jumping up and down, all that. I got that energy and everything. That felt a certain way. But when he started talking about the Bible and what's in the Bible and all that type of stuff, I kind of like faded out there and went to sleep. Sometimes I stayed up and watched it. Other times I didn't. And that lasted not just in St. Louis with her. That lasted in every church that I've been to. Not when I was older in church, but like when I was like younger, like all the way up to like 12 or 13 or something. Like I used to just like nod out and everything. Like go in the back of the church and just nod out and shit like that, be missing. Or have excuses why to get up out the pews to go use the bathroom and all that stuff, trying to pass time away and all that type of shit. That's what I was doing. So it was like really that, it's really like, it wasn't a religious practice. I wasn't a part of a Christian type of practice where I did stuff like Christians, or my granny would be like, oh, this is what Christians do and stuff like that. It wasn't that. It was really just going to church and just being around the energy. So when I was dealing with my childhood trauma situations and everything like that, and back in Milwaukee and stuff, I remember understanding that gun stopped him from doing something horrific to me that lasted all that time. It was a long time to be beaten on every single day as a kid, dog, for really basically nothing. It took me that long to be able to end it. And then now I look at it in hindsight, when I was doing the research and everything, because with childhood traumas, I feel like a lot of human beings, a lot of people right now dealing with childhood traumas, but they can't solve the problem of the trauma. They can't heal the trauma. And a lot of times you can't heal the trauma because you're not truthful about your childhood. Meaning this is what I had to do. I had to really go into my childhood and on some crazy shit, like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm going to find out what happened to me. You know what I'm saying? Like, because I was dealing with certain shit as an adult doing it, and I was just like I need to figure out, dog, the origin of this shit. You know what I'm saying? So I really had to look at it, and then what I told myself, I was going to be honest about every fucking thing. I'm not changing nothing. I'm not, you know how in the black culture, they change stuff because they want you to respect the a certain relative or whatever, not to put their business out there. Like somebody can molest a kid, but you don't want to tell nobody that Uncle Ray molested the kid. You want to save his reputation. And I think that's fucked up. So I didn't do none of that shit. I was like, no, you are who you are. Whoever you was back then, and that I remember, that affected me in my experiences with you, that's what I'm basing a lot of this shit on. I'm using that as evidence. Like, you know what I'm saying? To be able to include it in my research and in my finding. And I felt like I had to be truthful. I had to look at shit actually what it was. Because a lot of times, man, human beings out here, they be wanting to figure stuff out. But that childhood trauma, that is the dark jungle shit. That's like in the movie where you got to walk into the dark jungle and it's all the unpredictable shit. The shit that scared the shit out you when you was little. You're an adult now, but you're still terrified of that shit. You're scared. It takes a certain type of courage to walk back into that horrific ass jungle with all that shit that happened to you and try to figure out why it happened and what did you leave there behind that can help you in your current life. And that's what I did. I walked right back in that fucking jungle. And I saw so many different things, more things, you know what I'm saying, that helped me, you know what I'm saying, to be able to heal the childhood trauma shit. Because that's where it begins at. Knowledge itself begins with your childhood. If you want to know who you are, you gotta really go to your childhood. That's where it begins. That's your first revelation of what you are. When you're born. When a kid first starts figuring out stuff that it likes. And stuff, its behavior sometimes, and things that it likes doing. And you have to understand who your parents were. If your father was a scumbag and he did certain things to your mom, you can't give him no excuses. You can't say he was a different type of person. You have to say, I'm including that in the research. That's what you was at that time with my mom. What was your energy with my moms? If your mom's was a certain kind of way, what was she? You can't. In black family, I'm trying to tell you, they try to say them reputations of them bad people. They let bad people hide within the family of the good people. And then that's why you're never able, and then when that happens, the unrighteous people in the family and stuff, they do weird shit to the kids and to other people because they can hide and nobody holds them accountable. So they are able to continue to victimize people within the family, and the family continues to protect them. It's like fucked up. And I know a lot of people listening to this right now have been through that. They've been through that. You'll tell your mom something. Like I told my mom, I was getting beat up and shit like that. Dude was on some weird shit. She didn't do shit about it. She knew. That's why this is my evidence on it. My own mother knew that shit was happening to me. And she didn't do shit. Right. So, and then when we're looking at the spirituality shit, God didn't come and save me, man. God didn't tell me what to do. I know God didn't tell me to go get no gun. I know God didn't put no murder on my thoughts. Because I wanted to kill him. I know I didn't get that. So was that the devil or whatever it may be? I don't know. But God ain't going to put that on me. Jesus ain't going to put that on me. None of that type of shit. And I've been in that church for a long ass time absorbing energy. And even when I was in Milwaukee, my mom was taking me to church. So I was absorbing that energy of spirituality and spirits and angels and demons and God and the devil and all that energy all my life damn near. But when it came to ending a problem and to solving a problem, I had to solve that shit myself. That's the first time that I can remember, besides some stuff with some kids, when you're playing with something, you're trying to solve a problem, why something won't work. But that was the first time that I ended something really, really horrific to me. That's when I first realized I could end shit myself. Nobody came and saved me. People knew. Nobody saved me nothing. No, none of that. They knew, and they left me out there to continue to get abused. And people may, like I said earlier, like people may have a different type of feeling as far as like the way I handled that situation by putting a gun to his head. I'm like, well, so be it, because that's what I learned too. On the other side of things too is problem solving, right? So I felt like a person has to have problem solving skills in order to have solutions. So when I got older, I started to develop those things. I started to be like problem solving skills, critical thinking skills, looking at factual information. Don't be emotional about it. Just look at things for what it is, all that type of stuff. Do experimentations on it. All these different ways I was doing it to be able to solve the situation. And what I learned is in society right now is that people can solve their problems. You can solve your problems right now, but your method of solving the problems is dependent on how somebody else feel about that method. Now look at my situation with the gun. Now I talked to my homegirl. She thought my method was bad. My method was bad. You know what I'm saying? Don't go get a gun. Do something else. You know what I'm saying? She didn't want to talk to me. She talked to me for a while after I had that discussion with her. You know what I'm saying? She thought it was bad. She thought I shouldn't even do it. You know? I get introduced to the gun by a guy, you know what I'm saying? Like I said, he was on gangster shit back then, but he overheard me. He may have dealt with some shit back in the day or whatever. It was like some slick shit. He said, "Man, come here, little man," whatever like that. And then that what happened, that discussion happened. And I did my part, gave the shit right back to him like he asked and shit, and kept it moving with my, with the next day with my life or whatever. But when I used the gun, it worked. It ended. So what I started to realize, you know what I'm saying, as I got older and started being more of an expert problem solver, is I have to really look at what works and not base my method on what somebody else is saying about it. It's like saying like this. If just say I'm looking at this car down there. Just say the latch on the door was broken, right? And I'm using knowledge itself, right? The latch is broken, and I need to find a way of being able to fix it, right? So I don't know how to fix it, I guess. So I'm gonna go find somebody who can fix it, pretty much, right? I'm gonna try to fix it myself. If it doesn't work, then I have to go find somebody to be able to to fix it. Now, if I read out of a book and somebody give me a method to be able to use, and it doesn't work at all, I'm not going to go back to that person, right? I'm not going to read that book anymore. I'll be like, your method didn't work. It didn't fix that problem. And then what I'm going to do is I probably will search more people to fix it, or I will probably study that and be able to fix it myself. When it comes to problems, solving problems, every human being has the ability to solve their own problem. Because I did it as a kid, really. So I know it can be done. I know how you do it. I know how you heal those problems. You have to be honest about what's happening to you. You cannot, especially with childhood trauma, you cannot pretend something didn't happen. That's what a lot of women do too. Something bad happens to them, they try to forget about it. But you never forget, it's still in you. And the way you find out that it's still in you, because you're going to start repeating the same shit. Like, just say somebody was in a relationship. So here a woman was in a relationship. A teenage girl was in a relationship with a nigga who wasn't shit, really, pretty much, right? And he treated her bad and all that type of stuff. And they broke up. Now, when she gets into the next relationship, people always go and get into the same type of mentality as the one that they just left. They don't get a person. They don't date a person with a different mentality. They date a person with the same mentality. It's just a different body. And they just look different. But they have the same characteristics of the mentality that you left. And you walk yourself right back into the same shit. And the reason why you walk yourself back into it, because you never get the time. Well, I ain't gonna say you don't ever get the time. You just don't sit there and study what happened in the relationship and what type of person you was with. Because if you study what really, really happened, and if you study the person that you was with, then you would not go and get the almost exact replica. You would get the complete opposite. And that's the beginning of changing it. You have to be honest about what the situation is or who the person is, and you have to study him and find out what is it that he did or whatever happened that hurt you. You can't not just forget about it. If you forget about it, you're going to keep on going through the same thing, and you're going to see it in your life. You're going to see you repeating patterns and shit. Same thing, same thing, same thing, same thing. And then if you keep doing it for so long, especially when it's stuff that affects your mentality, you do it so long, it starts to become part of your character and your personality, which makes it even harder to get rid of. That's why when people get older, they be stuck in their ways and shit. They believe one thing, and then that's all they're going to believe. I don't care if you tell them one thing and they know it's right, they still ain't going to believe it. They still ain't going to want to hear it. They're going to want to believe what's already in their brain, even if they're wrong. When it gets to that point, it's really, really bad. You have to be able to look at it from exactly what it is. And that's what I had to do to heal that situation. And that's why I became an expert on how I started becoming studying problem solving, and see how I solved so many of my problems. I was able to solve a lot of stuff, man. And a lot of stuff that you can solve that you don't have to ask the universe for. And you don't have to ask God for. You don't have to ask another human being for. The human being itself is a problem solving machine. That's what we do every single day, is solve problems as soon as we wake up. And the world is full of problems as soon as we wake up. So all we do every single day is use strategies and tactics to solve problems in order to get certain things in our life that can make us happy. or having some type of fulfillment, or to bring us to a certain place that we want to be. That's what we do every day. The only problem it is the right strategies and the right tools and being able to use them. See, being a problem solver too, man, is what I had to do. I really had to go a step. I became like an extremist in my mind, and I was able to be able to do it because of where I was raised. I was raised in Milwaukee. I raised in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, where there's nothing but like murders and killing and all type of stuff going on. It's really chaotic, and I grew up in the black culture out there, so it's murder, black on black crime like crazy, especially at that time. I seen a lot of crazy shit that affected me, and it's still affecting me to this day. I seen all that, and what that did was later in my life, it gave me the ability to be an extremist in my mind, because sometimes you have to do extreme things to be able to solve extreme problems. What I learned, you know what I mean, in Milwaukee, in that environment, and what's also what I learned about that childhood trauma situation is that I had to meet violence with violence. See, all my life, I was taught that violence does not change. That violence does not change stuff. Positivity change stuff. Love would change stuff like that. You know, Martin Luther King used to say that a lot. But based on my experiences, that when you dealing with people with nigga mentalities and niggas and all that type of stuff, the way you stop them from fucking with you is that you have to present a threat of violence. With that mentality ain't listening to no conversation or no righteous way of doing things. That's not going to stop that mentality from brutalizing anybody. It didn't stop. Talking to nobody didn't stop you from brutalizing me. What stopped it was violence. A gun pointed at a man's head who was abusing me every day.